Welcome to the experiment. Things may break. It's the 18th of April. Howdy, everybody. We're in the Catalyst Circle working group. Today, we're going to be reviewing the amends and additional work that's been done to Code of Conduct, and then we'll be diving into the working group main meat of this session, which is to hopefully define or better refine some of the bylaws that are going to be governing this group in terms of the Code of Conduct. Anything else that anybody wants to add to that? How are we all doing?
Good.
Well, I'm doing well.
No complaints.
Good stuff.
Same here. Same here. Doing good.
How was your birthday?
Oh, it was really
Hey.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thanks. Yeah, I heard that slipped out in town hall last week. I think I mentioned to you guys as well, didn't I? Yeah, I went to Paris. I went to Gay Paris and did all the fun things that you would do in Paris, right? Ate loads
Oh,
of
nice.
food, saw some really cool sights. You know, avoided the Eiffel Tower.
Protested? Did you go to a protest?
I tell you what, you know, it was so funny. We arrived. I'll just say this, Phil. So we arrived. We got into a cab, and we were talking about the cab. We're like, "Is everything all right here?" And he was like, "Protesting's in our blood. We do this. This is what we do, right?" So it was. We didn't see. I wouldn't say we didn't see anything. I saw a lot of gendarmes, a lot of heavily armed policemen. And, you know, in full riot gear with, you know, batons at the ready and all of the protective gear and shields and stuff. And then I saw them a couple of times, or, you know, hundreds of them in sort of locations around like main city centre. And then when we went to the Pompidou Centre, which is one of the big museums, when we came out, we saw like a bunch of bins that have been wheelie bins that have been knocked over and smashed, and there was a road away. There was some small fires that were going on. You know, pretty standard in Paris, I believe. Yeah.
That sounds really exciting. I was watching some of it live on TikTok, and there wasn't very much action, but they were grouped around and the police were on standby.
I mean, listen, there's volatility in many parts of the world, right? And as I said, I think the media kind of makes it seem a lot more sensationalized than maybe actually how it really is. There's a lot of dispute going on and conflict around the world, unfortunately. And this is what we're here to solve, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, so this sounds really exciting. I'm glad you had a good time. If you're ready, guys, we're going to go ahead and open up the Code of Conduct and just review that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and look at the bylaws. I'll go ahead and share my screen. You guys should have all received the email with the bylaws attachment and the updated Project Catalyst Circle Code of Conduct. A mouthful. Let's see. And again, I was just doing this to get it started. It's, you know, up for discussion. The first page, and I got a lot of this from CCv4. The Code of Conduct applies equally to all members of the Catalyst Circle team. The purpose of this Code of Conduct is to explain what behavior is expected of Circle members, to set and maintain ethical standards, and to demonstrate integrity on behalf of Circle members and the Catalyst community. Does everybody agree with that statement?
I think it's good.
Okay, moving on. This was also from CCv4's draft. Catalyst Circle serves as an advisory board and bridge between the Cardano community, IOG, and the Cardano Foundation and Project Catalyst, with a mission to actively solve challenges, provide unbiased reporting, and empower ADA stakeholders with accessible information. We good on that one?
Good.
I'm sorry, Chris, what did you say?
Really nice.
Okay. How about you, Neba? I can't see you, so if you are doing thumbs up,
I am. Okay, it's all good.
you're good. Okay.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Hosky?
Yep, looks good.
Okay.
So far, so good.
And then the next sections are pretty much how we left them. I know that there was a little bit of clarification that needed to happen, I believe, to ethical behavior. And Alex cleaned that up. I think Alex and Darlington worked on that next section. Let's see. Ethical behavior. Members of the Project Catalyst Circle must adhere to high ethical standards and behave in a professional manner at all times. They should always act in the best interest of the Cardano community and Project Catalyst, and should avoid any actions that could be perceived as conflicts of interest, and strive to voluntarily disclose any actions that could be perceived as such to the best of their ability. How do we all feel about that?
I like it.
Short and sweet.
Works.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, we'll move on to accountabilities. The members of the Project Catalyst Circle must be accountable for their actions and decisions. Members of the circle should be held accountable for any mistakes or errors they make and should be willing to take responsibility for their actions.
Good.
We all feel good about that?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say so.
Thumbs up. I'm giving you thumbs up. You just can't see it, so I have to verbalize it.
Thank you.
Maybe there's maybe a change that it could be. We could say, so being held accountable is typically you're being held accountable by someone else.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we should. Darlington, do you reckon you could just mute yourself for a moment, mate? If possible. Cheers, bud. Being held accountable and holding oneself accountable, I think are two slightly different things, and I think it might be worthwhile capturing both. So, you know, we should expect the community to hold Catalyst Circle members accountable, but similarly, Circle members should hold themselves accountable. It's just an idea more than anything.
How would that look worded, do you think?
So should be accountable of themselves. I mean, if it's more of a word salad, and we feel that as it is good enough, then that's absolutely fine too.
I'd say it's good as it is.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It can be interpreted any way you want it at this point.
Could it be members of the circle will be held accountable by the Catalyst community and the circle members, and or
That would work. That would work too.
Mm-hmm.
do you think that
Be a
can
little bit more,
Chris?
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, a little more defining.
Yeah.
Fellow or no fellow? Members of the circle will be held accountable by the Catalyst community and or fellow circle members for any mistakes or errors they make, and should be willing to take responsibility for their actions.
Good.
Okay. Moving on to fairness.
Or maybe without the question mark.
Yeah, no need. Question mark.
There we go. The members of the Project Catalyst Circle must be fair and impartial in all of its dealings. It should avoid favoritism or discrimination of any kind and should ensure that all community members are given equal consideration.
Good.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbing up.
Thank you,
Thumbs up.
Neba. Hosky, Darlington, you guys good? Okay. I
Thumbs
see
up.
Darlington and you, Hosky. Thank you. We'll move on. Responsiveness. The member of the Project Catalyst Circle, the members of the Project Catalyst Circle must be responsive to the needs and concerns of the Cardano community and Project Catalyst. They should be proactive in seeking feedback and input from stakeholders and should be open to suggestions for improvement.
I like it.
Okay, everybody else?
Mhm.
Okay, moving on. Confidentiality. The Project Catalyst Circle members must maintain confidentiality of sensitive information upon request by community members, whether individual, group, or entity. Members should seek explicit confirmation if unclear about confidentiality.
It's good. I like
Okay.
it.
All right, moving on. Proprietary information. We encourage an open source environment. However, it is important that we respect the property rights of others. We will not acquire or seek to acquire improper means of a competitor's trade secret or other proprietary or confidential information. We will not engage in unauthorized use, copying, distribution, or alteration of software or other intellectual property.
Maybe say or seek to acquire by improper means, or. But I like it other than that.
Yeah, if you want to make that adjustment, Joey,
I don't know if I can. Let's see.
you should be editor.
Did that change it?
Yeah.
I don't think I. Okay, good. Well,
And then we finish with professionalism. The members of the Project Catalyst Circle should behave in a professional manner at all times. They should communicate clearly and effectively and should be respectful and courteous to all stakeholders when acting within the scope of their Catalyst Circle role. I think we should do.
Looks good.
yep, I like it.
I'm really glad it's very succinct at this stage. Super cool.
Congratulations, you guys. You've got a code of conduct.
Jordan,
Yay. All right, so I can save this, or do we want to keep this copy? Well, we changed it as we went along, so I can just put version 4.0 and last updated April 18th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we just have to remember these are living documents. The code of conduct will change with probably a little bit with every circle. So I like to say, the last page of most books end with the end, and this one, the last page should be the beginning, because this is really only the beginning for the code. It'll modify all the time. But I like it. It's done.
All righty, so this is what we'll be handing over to CCv5. And this is it. Now, do we have to present it to the Catalyst community, or is this like how does this get ratified or whatever?
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense to present it to the community. I don't know if we should present it as a ratification, but just present it and see what they say.
Yeah, I agree with that, because everybody's going to have a different opinion, based on their own life experience. And I think CCv5, if they want to ratify it or change it, that's a different story than, 60,000 members looking at it.
true. Okay, so I will go ahead and share the link in our Twitter account. And if anybody else would like to share it as well, just to get it as many eyes on it as possible. And just make sure when you share it that you leave the option for comments for people with access to the link.
Yeah. Maybe when we have the other document closer to when it's ready to the bylaws, it might be worth having an after town hall.
That's a really good idea. And maybe we can get this over to Danny so that he can add it to his newsletter that he puts out on Fridays. I don't think he's here today.
That's what I was gonna say, right? I feel like if we do it after town hall, it should come a week or two after this and out there, so people have a chance to read it before they come to the town hall. Hopefully, they read it before they come to the town hall.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. So getting in the newsletter would be good, and the Twitter and all the things.
Chris, I'm just seeing this now where you said should be held accountable and likewise hold themselves accountable. Where were you mentioning that?
No, don't worry about that. It's we've that was on the accountability bit.
Okay.
We've done it. We made the wording better. Hey, Patrick.
Yeah, hi,
Hi,
Patrick.
Patrick.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry.
Do you need a link? I emailed
Hi,
you the
Patrick.
code of conduct.
I have the link.
How do you feel about it? Did you get a chance to review it?
I'm just looking through it right now. Give me 2 more minutes.
Okay.
But
I'll go ahead and pull up the bylaws and just kind of show everybody what I've done so that we know what's what. But go ahead and keep looking through that.
It may look a little different, Melanie, because I did do some editing in there.
No worries.
Okay.
Let's see. There we go. And you guys can see that? Okay. So bylaws, Catalyst Circle version. I didn't know if we wanted to put version 4 and then allow it to be updated later, but these were just
Yeah, I think that's appropriate because we're writing this for version 4 and version 5 can modify it if they
their
want.
own. Yeah. Would that be through amendments? Like, are we just going to keep building on this, or is everybody going to have to do this again every time they start their
I think-
iteration?
I would say that this is the foundation, and if Circle 5 wants to modify it in some way, we'll give them a way to do that, but I wouldn't have them start from scratch. That would be too much.
It is a lot. Okay, so I just made notes about what bylaws traditionally have, and we pretty much have that listed here. This was just stuff that Joey had put in from the information that we had drafted before about our purpose, mission, and vision. Nothing's changed there. The highlight or the purple text you'll see is this notes that I've made. The highlighted in orange is straight from the CCv3 draft. And I just placed them in the areas of the document that I thought that they might fit. And it looks like Joey's organized it a little bit more too. And then somebody, I'm not sure who, had written these in. So I highlighted them in yellow. So if anybody,
I think I put some of that in. On the meetings, I just went through formal meetings, working meetings, and attendance. My recommendation is the stuff that you have highlighted in orange. I would not put anything about dismissing people, and just attending meetings is a normal thing. But I recall who put that in on the poll, but I wouldn't. People miss meetings for a lot of different reasons, and I wouldn't be looking to dismiss people. First of all, we don't have a formal way to dismiss anyone. Just it's like our
I believe that
Supreme
was
Court.
Yeah, Chris had made a note on our last code of conduct and had made a mention of the, I believe of these things. So I made sure that those were in there. And I believe one of them says that there should be a way to quickly resolve issues. All right.
Yeah, well, in our organization, we have a grievance committee, which I think my recommendation is it should be made up of past circle members that have experience in the circle that would listen objectively to any grievance that would come up. But again, I don't think missing meetings is something you terminate people for.
Okay.
Unless they miss them all. If they miss them all, this is a whole different story. But you know,
Right,
one or
right.
two be-
Yeah, I think it was just they were trying to avoid the behavior that they had seen from the members that they had participated with. But I think we should just start with the beginning and work our way down there. I was just letting everybody know the notations in purple were my ideas or my notes that I wanted everybody to consider. And the stuff highlighted in orange is from CCv4, and the yellow were notes that were put in here afterward. So Chris has his hand up.
Yeah, just to sort of mention, like the charitable trust that I used to work for like a long time ago, that did innovation grants. Their board of trustees, if they didn't turn up to 3 meetings in a quarter, that was enough to trigger them to be dismissed. And I think the idea here isn't it to say, oh, you're bad, go away. It's more to be like, that's a seat that could be filled by someone that can, you know, participate, right? So it's just more food for thought, really. I think if as Joey said, if there was representatives that just didn't show up persistently or consistently, then there should be grounds to sort of say, well, maybe we should to swap that person out for someone else because they can't commit the time, right?
Mhm.
I kind of agree with that. There should be some parameters that they're agreeing to by taking this position. And if, you know, the times that are meeting and you know, everybody's getting together is a conflict for that person and they're missing more than they're attending, they're really not doing what they were voted in to do. So I do agree. I do agree with Chris on that one. What do you?
On the, I think if we made it super explicit and not have any ambiguity about, you know, what's the minimum, you know, so it's clear, right? It's not like a thing of debate, right? We have fixed number of meetings, so.
Right. Okay, so let's just check back in with Patrick and put a pin in the meetings for just a second. Patrick, did you get a chance to review the code of conduct?
Yes. I mean, it's very similar to what we had last time, so I'm super fine with it.
Okay, perfect.
Good.
So we'll go ahead and start looking at the bylaws. And as I had mentioned, we had already established these 3 sections here, and we were moving on to meetings. The notes that I have says we should outline the rules and procedures for conducting meetings of the organization, frequency of meetings, notice requirements, and quorum requirements. I don't know how much of that is necessary or how much we want to keep, but I do know that from my experience, we've had formal meetings, we've had working meetings. We have not addressed attendance, but I don't think that's been an issue for any of us, but it was in the past. And to just put some guardrails in there and some expectations set, we can talk.
I wouldn't put numbers per se. I would just use like excessive maybe as a word, like, you know, dismissed if excessive meetings are missed or something that I don't think a number is right.
But That makes it subjective, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
we
I'm
do
worried
have
about.
numbers. We do have numbers of meeting, right? Like the amount of meeting is not unknown. So we do have percentages or whatever.
Well, if
Yeah,
I
what
think
if,
percentages might be better because numbers, right now we technically have a formal days twice a month, but somebody else may have it 4 times a month, a different circle. So I think then, if nothing else, then percentages would definitely be the way to go.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. Can I just mention that, like, is this something we're gonna let each, like, I'm not saying let, but set it up in the way that when a new iteration begins, they meet and go through these sections and determine at that time the formal meeting dates and the days, the working meetings, whatever, they get to determine that for their cohort. And then if they miss, I mean, I just got out of college. I think if I missed more than 3 classes, I would have been dismissed. It's got to be like 20, like if you miss more than 20% of the meetings, I'm not sure, but that would pre-establish the amount of meetings, the number of meetings you have every cohort. Like Darlington was said there are a set amount of meetings. So what percentage do you guys believe rather than 3 meetings?
So my perspective is every circle is going to have to define its own meetings because people from all over the world. You don't know what time or what day people can meet, so they're going to have to define that. And the attendance, from my perspective, the formal meetings were the most important in Circle 3. The working meetings, we were a lot more flexible if people didn't show for those. So I don't know if you want to clearly define that or not, but
Yeah, I like the formal meeting specification, and then 20 or 25% makes.
So maybe just instead of say be dismissed, you
yeah,
must attend 80% of the meetings that your cohort agrees on.
yeah, I wouldn't use the word dismissed either. Maybe they're
No,
maybe it's under review or they're I don't know.
right.
I
That's
don't know
what I
what the
was
right thing
saying.
to
Must
say.
attend 80%. I didn't say.
One idea, right? As we're going through this, we can define in every section. We can define the ideal state, and then we can have a specific session for dismissal that can then point back to some of these ideal states, right? So it's not like, hey, don't do this, but do this. And then whatever section we have on how a circle might be dismissed, or how that might even be brought up, that can then call back to some of these specific dues.
Yeah, so they're running into this in our Senate now. How do you dismiss someone that's elected by the members? So you might impeach them, but
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, there should be. I think if you put the percentage in there, that might be a good compromise to at least be a red flag that, hey, you can't function as a circle if you're not here.
What's up, Nabil?
Maybe we can just say would be like, as we said, like on the code of conduct, will be held accountable for it, and then we define what that accountability means later on. Maybe
I like
the
that.
circle decides.
Yeah. Held accountable to the community and to circle. Yeah, because the elected members are going to be like, hey, where is he at? Where is she or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if we need to think about what bad thing will happen for each of these sections.
Yeah, perhaps we can just say just an overall blanket, like actions will be taken or something like that. And then it would be up to the infringement or the team at that time to decide on, like, and then we can define what the procedures for taking an action is. Like, like follow the steps, impeachment or whatever. We just define that, what taking action means, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah, I like that. And for us in Circle 3, I mean, I picked someone to substitute if I wasn't there. Of course, I didn't miss any meetings, but I had someone available that would sit in for me if I had been missed in a meeting. And I think that's
can we-
okay if it doesn't happen repetitively.
Is that something that we can add here then? Upon approval of other circle members, absentee circle members may appoint sub-circle members to sit in.
I like that. I mean, I feel like that's come up in previous circle before, where someone randomly showed up and the members didn't know they were gonna show up. Oh.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Nabil? Sorry.
I was just going to say that that is a good idea to add it. I was just agreeing, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. So are we saying that we would be able to assign one of our circle members to sit in should we let the team know that we would miss a formal meeting? Is that what we were agreeing on?
Or a representative. I don't think it would have to be another circle member. Just someone responsible to bring you back the information and to represent you.
Yeah, in that case, maybe you can just say should attend like all meetings. If they cannot attend, they should send a representative. Maybe like having the percentage and then a representative. I guess it works both ways. I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess if anybody wants to clean that up or word it differently, by all means. Um,
Yeah, there should be some notification prior to the meeting that a substitute's going to be attending, so they can get the link and all that type of stuff.
"24 hours?" I mean, we have emergencies sometimes and illnesses, but if possible, 24 hours?
Yeah, yeah, if
You
possible.
can just say before the meeting.
Yeah, as soon as possible would probably be fine.
Mm.
Yeah,
or even at least in advance of the meeting.
yeah.
Chris, do you mind adding that?
Yeah, I will do. Yeah. My mouse just ran out of battery as well. Okay. Oh, actually, I just meant to suggest for sections 102 and 103, can I suggest that they flip? It's a really small thing, but typically a vision comes before the mission. And I'll do the other one.
Uh-oh. I messed up. All right, how does that look?
The title to purpose, vision, mission.
Ah, yes. Is everybody in agreement for that? Or with that?
Yep. Like it.
Looks good.
Good to move on?
Yes.
Yes.
In advance of the meeting start time. Should the absentee circle member, should this go first? Should that be their first and foremost obligation? And then they notify?
Is the notify circle member part necessary? I think it's just a repetition, no?
No, I would want to know who was attending.
Yeah, on the
Personally,
second one, yeah, like the second one, absentee circle must assign appropriate stand-in. So it's already stated, I mean, in that sentence. Oh, I guess,
yeah, they're going ahead and I could say, Neba, can you sit in for me? And then you show up in my place when people are expecting me. I would want to know,
yeah,
you know,
makes sense. I agree.
that's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I just thought those two are a repetition, but like, yeah, you're right. They're different.
And are we I mean, not letting, but is it a standard that regularly attend every 2 weeks? Is that just like traditionally what happened or what's happened in the past, but that's something that they can determine themselves? Or is that an expectation that's pretty firm?
I always felt like it was expected, but I mean, I guess it's between the Circle and the IOG and Cardano Foundation.
I don't know. Did Alex make it today? I don't think so.
Strike one. Oh my
Do you also count the time when you're like too
Late?
late or so?
You were
Yeah.
if it's beyond
Oh, no.
2 minutes, Patrick, you're late.
That's-
Me and you are both
that's-
late.
That's
Oh,
a
no.
quarter of the meeting. One third of the meeting, you, Patrick.
Cumulative. Chris said it's cumulative. Chris, can you answer that better then? Is that something that is established as a standard for the circle members that they meet every 2 weeks? That's how we kind of set up?
I mean, that's how it has been. Yeah, I mean that's certainly how it has been. And then there's often an ad hoc working group meeting in the alternating weeks. Joey's probably more of a long-standing circle member than I have. And to be fair, it seemed to be every 2 weeks, but then we would regularly meet in the off weeks as well, wouldn't we?
Right. Yeah, we kind of determined from the beginning that every 2 weeks would be the right fit, and then for working meetings it could be ad hoc, whatever happened there. So yeah, I'm over a year, and these meetings make it a few months now in Circle.
What are you guys feeling about the report, no progress, or any of their prioritized problems? How do you want to deal with that? Move it to another section, or
I would for now. I would again, we had a prioritized problem board, which we were supposed to follow across this Kanban system, but you guys are going to have a whole different setup. So I don't know if you're really going to have a problem that you can follow across the board. So, I would just take it out. You can always come back and modify this if we see that there's a need for something. So that's kind of the beauty of this. We want to just keep it simple, get something there, tie a ribbon on it, and then modify it as we see a need to.
Is there any other feedback or things that anyone believes should be added to attendance regarding formal meetings?
No, I'm good.
Neba, Hosky, Patrick, Darlington, you guys have anything you want to add?
Looks good.
No, I'm good.
Pretty straightforward. On the part of being held accountable, is it possible to define what accountability actions will be taken on the bylaws? Is there one section of accountability or disciplinary action or something like that? What it means?
I believe we can establish that at a future date.
I'm just asking, is it something that is not typically included in bylaws, what action steps are, or what disciplinary actions are, or I don't know.
They are typically included. Like it outlines your responsibilities and also the consequences you're agreeing to should you not, hold up your part of certain responsibilities if it's notated, from what I understand.
Yeah, typically they'll put something somewhere. We don't have to do it today because that's probably a full meeting in itself. But said if you don't comply, then these things can happen.
No, because I'm just thinking that usually, I don't know, from my experience in other teams, is when, like, if you're going to be taking an action step on one individual person, it's usually a cumulative of different actions or different behaviors that would push you towards that. So, like, obviously they're going, like, if somebody wants to, I don't know, if you guys want to get rid of me on this team, you're going to have this reason of me not attending, but like at the core of it is going to be a cumulative of other actions that I've done that will lead you to this. So it's just, I guess, I just wanted us to make that possibility.
You're not going anywhere, dude. That's why we have grievance committees that they take all those things into consideration when they're looking and reviewing at that. So again, I think every circle should appoint a grievance committee to review these type of things so that you've got a little bit of a non-biased approach to them,
And I see what you're saying, Naba, and I definitely think that's going to be one of those things that we should make note of for that meeting that Joey said would probably take a whole meeting in and of itself.
Yeah, the
Right.
disciplinary procedures document, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to attendance?
I'm good.
Okay, moving forward, records retention. Circle will formalize the circle's requirements for maintaining records and documentation related to the circle's activities, meeting minutes, financial statements, etc.
Yeah, this has always been an issue. Again, I think last time I mentioned like a Library of Congress, where the articles are going to be there in a certain place from one circle to the next, because we were in GitHub, we were in Discord, we were in Telegram, we were all over the place. So
Yeah, I think with your advice at the beginning, we had established the Google Drive, and that's where we are keeping most of our stuff. And then after Hosky created the Gmail account, we were able to have it be in a place where we could just hand over the credentials, the login credentials, to the next iteration. So
yep,
does
that's
that
good.
pretty much sums it up, correct? Each iteration will define their maintaining records and documentation procedures.
Yeah, I mean, the Circle 5 may look at this and say, hey, we're happy with where you've got what you've done. We're just going to let you roll it over and we'll take care of it. So that'll be good. I think it's good.
Okay.
Maybe should add accessible to the community, something like that, in the records.
Yeah. They need to be accessible so the community can review them.
And that's under communication, correct?
Okay.
Well, my idea of communication was more about having a consistent message, not one person saying one thing, because we had that issue, right? One person would go off and say one thing and another person would be saying something different. So if you're in if you're putting your information out there, the link to it, yeah, would be help keep it consistent, right? People were rereading the same documents. But if you're out in Twitter space or whatever, you want to make sure they're communicating the same information.
Okay. So for records retention, and to Neva's point, to make it accessible to the community, is there any verbiage that we need to put in to also respect the privacy of proprietary information? It doesn't mean that everything they touch needs to go out to the public. So how do you word that?
I think you said that in your code of conduct, right? But I mean, you could be more specific, I guess, if you wanted to.
Like what I generally meant is like our Google Drive is accessible to anybody, right? That wants to see what we're doing. Except maybe some documents we might lock them from being accessible. I guess in this case.
Yeah. So if you go into our Google Drive, you'll see a public folder, and those are things that we were ready to release. There's also archived information that was sent to us, but it seemed redundant to make available. It just seemed like, just another place for people to find some of the same information. So I was trying to keep what we have that is CCv4 accessible to the community, so that we're not adding to the noise of all the previous iteration. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Sure. Yeah.
But like what I generally meant is like the Google Drive should not be locked for the community. If somebody wants to access it, they should be able to see it. Just that's what I meant by opening it, not. But like again, what you said also makes sense on how to do it.
Yeah, I think you may be right. It could go to communication that be accessible to the community as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that should be there in communications.
Like all documents, whatever. Yeah.
Would you like to add that, Neba?
Okay. I think it's already stated on the communications. It already says that it has to be transparent. That's what I meant. That the communication section covers that part for my information.
Okay. Yeah.
We can add.
As long as you do it,
Okay.
it doesn't have to be written in here.
Yeah.
So are we ready to move on to Article 3, or do we feel like there's anything else that needs to be added to meetings?
I'm good with meetings.
Article 3,
Article 3.
decision making.
Darlington's ready to move on. All right. Quorum. A quorum is the minimum number of members that must be present in a meeting to conduct business. The Circle version X consists of 5 elected members and 2 representatives. X number of elected members, X number of representative members shall constitute a quorum. So,
if someone's absent or
Right.
2 people are absent, how many do you guys feel should be there to make a final vote on any topic?
In a board of directors type scenario, if someone's not present, then the quorum is those that are in attendance. That's how it works elsewhere. Just to give some context.
And I'm fine with that. Especially since we've already stated that the members have to be there at all the meetings.
right. Can you repeat that, Chris? I didn't quite get it.
Yeah. So the decisions can be made by those members and representatives in attendance. Let me try and write it. Right.
And if we're saying that too, we should probably specify in attendance of what are those meetings called again? Working meetings or whatever?
It'd be a formal meeting.
Yeah, the formal meetings, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that a member should be allowed to, yes, elected, exactly. I don't think anybody should just be able to show up and sit in for somebody and, be the proxy for their vote. I think it has to be elected representation.
I agree with that on premise. However, in CCv4, as you know, we had people that were appointed and they had a voice. So I think if it's a permanent appointment, but just someone sitting in for the day, no. But if it's a permanent appointment like happened in CCv4, someone's got it for whatever reason, health reasons, whatever, has to step down and they either appoint or we have a special election. A special election would be fine. Those people could vote. But if maybe you have to appoint someone in proxy because you're in the hospital or whatever for months, that might be a different scenario. But that decision, I guess, could be made at, I don't know.
I think it would have to be a voting event. I think the fact that people were just appointed to their positions created a lot of the issues that happened after the fact for that last round. I think it would have to be community.
we could have had a special election, I guess, but of course we were still setting up the elections. Now that we have a little bit of an election process, you could run a special election for members that are have to leave for whatever reason.
If they have to step down. Maybe do we have that anywhere in here in the event that you have to step down? This is what the process is.
I think we put that under the election process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that takes it. That covers it. What do you think, Hosky?
It looks good. Yeah, I mean, hold on, I'm reading as you're typing. Yep. So are we going to go with, well, Have we not had weeks where we only had 3 of 5?
There's been a couple, but only a couple.
Yeah, so I still feel that, well, I guess official representatives would that would still count, right?
Well, were those planned meeting or was the working meetings? I only had 3 of 5.
I believe formal meetings would be where we are voting. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
I don't
think you
think
just
decisions should be happening in working meetings, right? They
Mhm.
should be happening in
No.
formal meetings.
correct. And I think, you know, circle will be rational. If only 3 people show up, it's a formal meeting. You don't have to take a vote. You could always say, well, we're going to lay over to the next formal meeting. You know, you can be, reasonable,
Yeah.
unless you're really trying to push an agenda.
Right. That's my concern is, that those things are established so that agenda pushing by any certain group won't happen.
Should we make that for like the not the work? What's are we gonna? What's the meat? My brain stopped working. I've not
Formal.
hydrated today. Yeah.
Formal meeting.
Okay, so formal. So I'm going to put this into 3.04. So formal meetings are the opportunity to hold
Yeah.
vote and make decisions on a given topic. How about that?
That's good.
Okay, so we need to talk about vote of confidence.
Yeah, I think, decision-making process, just like we're doing here. You went around the room. That's a vote of confidence that nobody had any objections, or somebody may have had some comments, and then we went, say, oh, is that good? Final vote. Just kind of gives you a feel of where everybody's at before you take a final vote.
I think it looks good. Does anybody else want to add anything to that section? 3.02?
Nope. I've never done a vote of confidence.
That's
I have
good.
no idea. That sounds good.
I'm only
You've done 3 already in this meeting.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And then the objection, if there is an objection or circumstances present a need for a review of the topic, then no vote will be held until X number of meetings. Can you explain what that really means, Joey?
So in some of our meetings, someone may have a really strong objection to something where you might want to do some more investigation or go out and maybe, just like sometimes we said, okay, well, let's go out and ask the community. So you don't want to take a final vote if there's really a strong objection. You want to try to find the right decision. It's just a placeholder. I don't, just in case it happens, you have something there to fall back on.
Okay, is that clear to everybody else?
Yeah, it's clear.
yes. This is a vote of confidence.
Okay.
It's kind of along the same line, but a vote of confidence, you just go around the room, everybody kind of makes comments. But a strong objection would be like, hey, I'm not going to vote on this today. I want more information before we can place a vote,
Okay. Then the final decision vote, which Chris updated for us. Formal meetings are the opportunity to hold a vote and make decisions on a given topic. A final decision vote will be taken by a majority vote of members present during that meeting. Elected members?
Yeah, elected members.
Good idea. Maybe it should be elected and representative members, so it's explicit.
Is there anywhere that did we define that the representative members means IO rep and CF rep?
We probably do need to make a definition of that somewhere.
Because I think that, yeah, that could be misconstrued as they're my representative. I sent them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe even more so, it's maybe we could put something like this: no stand-ins will be able to vote on matters. Right?
That's good.
Up to you.
Okay.
And you could define IO and CF representatives as if you feel more comfortable with that.
So I'll tell you what. Let's put it in 3.01. So so I can be at 5 elected members. So Cardano / Catalyst community. Right? Unless anybody wants to just do Catalyst. I'm in favor of keeping it broad. And then we can put Cardano Foundation. You know,
I like it. Mhm. Yep.
Foundation.
That clears it up. I mean, I don't think there's any room to misinterpret that now.
Yep. I like it.
We'll have to probably do that as well in the future, and if it shows up again in the document, unless.
I think maybe because it's done once at the top. I mean, unless we've got
Yeah,
it
at the top.
else. We haven't got. I mean, I think it makes sense in quorum because it's
Yeah, it makes sense to me there.
I mean,
like
it
it.
just doesn't tend to make sense in attendance, right? Seems to be more pertinent to the quorum and decision making.
So then I believe we would need to define that also in formal meetings, because it's only talking about circle members, and if they're agreeing on a day and time that isn't conducive to the CF and IOG's schedules, you know, you weren't consulted in those dates and times, wouldn't you think that you would be included in this section as well?
Under formal meetings.
That, yeah, we'd have to define it that formal meant that it was the elected and the IOG and CF reps.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think quorum is more about the people that are participating, whereas meetings is more about the timing on when to get together, right? I mean, if we could either put it into some sort of glossary section or definition section preceding Article 1, perhaps, and then it doesn't need to be referred to anywhere else because it's in some sort of definitions.
Right, like when lawyers say, you know, the full name, and then here on out is known as that thing.
All right.
That might be a good idea, actually. I'll start a definition section because and you know, we might find that as we go through this process that there's other definitions that we might need to include, right?
That sounds good.
Okay. In which case, I'll
Yeah.
remove it from the quorum bit.
Because at all of our town halls, when we defined the circle with that slide, we included the Cardano Foundation IO, all as well as the members, but elected members as part of the circle. So it's one circle.
Okay. Hold on. We don't have Emergo in here. Maybe just as a sidebar note, it seems like Emergo are getting more interested and engaged with all things Catalyst, but
Yeah,
still it's a bit murky, so I'm not sure.
I liked it there under quorum. I thought that was a good spot for it.
I mean, what does anybody else think?
I think we should leave very little up for interpretation. And when we have the opportunity to be specific as to who qualifies, I think we should be specific. Personally. What about you, Neba, Darlington, Hosky, Patrick?
Yeah, if it's easy to be clear and remove ambiguity, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, get rid of as many quote unquote loopholes that people might try to find, and just be specific.
Okay, we got thumbs up from Neba and Hosky and Darlington. Patrick, how are you feeling about that?
I feel the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good with how this sounds. We'll move on. We talked about vote of confidence, objection, final decision vote. Article X, we need to talk about the term of office. So basically your tenure.
Right, because CCv3 started out 3 months and then it went to 6 months, and there was discussion of 8 months. So that, it needs to be decided by each circle, I think, on how they want to. If circumstances change and they need to be longer, then that's why I put that in there.
I do believe
I'll-
establishing your tenure is important. I don't know that we've even established ours.
Right. I look at your tenure as your onboarding date with Chris and Harris. So
January
that would,
10th, I believe, was that date.
yeah. Which, when we talk about budget, I might put Chris on the spot and ask him about that funding piece. So be thinking about it, Chris. So
He's in my mind as well.
So term of office, again, the kind of questions would be, just like Quasar was on CCv3 point whatever, and then he ran for CCv4. So should a member be able to run for consecutive offices, or should he have to wait between offices and maybe doesn't run for consecutive, and maybe 2 years from now he decides he wants to run again? We have it all the time in our organization. Some people repeat the office 7, 8 times, and some people do it and wait 10 years and then repeat it. So something to be
So you're
considered.
I
So
would
did
not
you
put any
define
restrictions on that, to be honest.
term limits? You don't think so, Patrick? Because
No.
I wonder just, if somebody's doing it over and over again, are we hearing new voices? Are we hearing new opinions? Are we considering new ideas? I believe if we keep having the same people, then we're limiting our ability to expand,
I'm with you a little bit, but then on the other side, maybe it's because I'm German, but we don't have term limits for our Bundeskanzler, and Angela Merkel was like Bundeskanzler for 16 years. So it can be a good thing. So like I think if the person is doing a fine job and no one is putting them out, essentially let them run for as long as they want. And I wouldn't try to set like too clear of rules, to be honest, because all of this can be appended and in the future if we see that it's not
Right.
working, you know.
Right. I just want us to think about these things. I mean, we don't have to put anything in here for that, but I mean, the existing circle is 6 months. Although I was in CCv3 over a year, but it's 6 months really should have been. I mean, I think the voters will make that decision whether they want, you know, Patrick in two times in a row, you know, but that's just my opinion. But you're also right, Melody. I mean, you know, when we have people in charge consecutive years, it's the same ideas and the same repetitive of how they run, how they think, you know.
We have an octogenarian problem in our, you know, in our government where people are working, and I don't think it's going to apply here, but this is just, you know, something, it's just being run by people that are just so out of touch and making decisions. And I know they have to be voted on, but this is a little bit of a popularity contest too. And I don't know. I think fresh blood, new blood is a good thing. After a while, I hate career politicians. They're just, we're all in a very stagnant place here
So
in the US.
I think where I'm at with this is we can make any decision we want, and Circle 5 can modify that if they choose to do that. So, what do you think, Chris? I mean, you know, you've been in repetitive circles now yourself, but
I mean, it's always nice to have fresh perspectives, but I also see Patrick's point, and I'm thinking about it in relation to, you know, sort of where I sit as well. Where no one's elected me to be here other than, you know, colleagues in my team, and also I do want to be here. I want to be part of this. So it's a difficult one. I'd actually prefer to defer to you guys, and you guys decide. And we could do that with a vote, a show of hands.
hey, let's do a confidence vote.
I mean, if we were going to put term limits, my position would be it should be a same limit, right? Like 4 or 5 or whatever consecutive.
Yeah,
or something along those lines.
I mean, is this
At least,
sorry,
even a second.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Darlington. Sorry. Just it started coming out. Yeah, I mean, if it's like, if there's no limit to it, then that could become an issue, perhaps.
Right.
And another thing to think about is that maybe this is TBD by the community, and we actually go out and we workshop this, and we get people's inputs and opinions. So I don't think it would be particularly challenging to present the working document that then gets people's inputs. And, you know, given that we're meant to be acting as the voice of the community, could be a way to do it. I like being able to defer to a much wider group when the decision isn't particularly clear, or there's no very clear decision, very clear favorite in terms of the options.
That makes sense, and this goes back to the ratification for the other document as well, right? Like, put it out for community comments, and then we take that in and add and edit it based off of that, and then we ratify it. You know?
Mhm. I mean, that's probably a really good tenet, generally speaking, for just the way that Circle operates, right? If there's a division of opinion when it's not unanimous, then, you know, it's an item that can be then socialized more broadly.
Do we want to make a note here on this section to post it to the community?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
like that. I mean, like post the entire question to the committee. Okay.
Yeah, like what do they believe a term of office looks like for Catalyst Circle members? The elected ones, at least.
Mhm.
And I mean, that comes back to the idea of overlapping terms. So not all new members come in at the same time. So I believe I spoke with Joey about this, and that way there's never just a bunch of fresh new people starting Circle that, you know, their tenures overlap, kind of like we do with Congress, the House Representatives. Like they come in every 2 years, but they're never elect, like each, it's staggered.
Right.
So
That makes the onboarding a lot more easily handled, you know.
yeah, they can the old new people can onboard the new people.
So that probably should be, just put that in there and we'll ask the community about that as well.
I'm just gonna change that.
That would mean more elections, right? Instead of just one every 6 months, you might have 2 within 6 months. Or if the term is well, anyway.
We also have to define our term, and that is it going to run consecutive with funding rounds, or should we overlap that too? Does it happen that, you know, it runs from January to June and then July to December?
Right. I think we did it because of the proposal system that we were under, but now that there's been a parameter change, I think that would depend on how that process is working through IOG as far as funding the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funding round is such a moving target, right? I feel like the circle should be a little bit more stable than the funding round.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Only because, yeah, in the world, the funding landscape can change, as we've, you know, been experiencing for the last 6 months. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this community or the work to be done and their share of voice shouldn't be able to be heard.
Right.
So what does that look like for you guys? A January to the end of June tenure, and then July to the end of December tenure?
Sounds about right.
I mean, the cool down periods. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, how would that go if there's going to be the overlapping one? But like, go.
Well, I think we've been lucky though, right? We've had this time to kind of get our bearings and learn about this stuff and learn about each other and the community without the pressures of issues that the community is having with their proposals. Just working up to it, you know, that we're not just thrown into it at the beginning of a proposal, I think is beneficial. So
See, I think with in business, everything depends on your budget and your funding. So if the parameter change in IOG allows us to select any point in time to begin and end, then there's nothing there that prevents us from doing that, you know. So I don't know exactly how that it's going to work on that end yet, for funding for the circle.
So the intention is to include this as a parameter, as we were discussing in the last iteration. See, right now we're in this wonky period and of elongated cooldown. That said, all being well, CCv4 will be retrospectively covered. Okay, let me put it that way.
So CCv4, the funding isn't available for them to receive their funding at this present time. It has to be put into.
No, it wouldn't be. I imagine going forward, it'll all be cleaner, and it will be, it will just be part of the operating budgets and the operating parameters for a fund. But understand on the understanding that there is a 6-month tenure, right? But there's as I said, we're in a little bit of an unusual period at the moment. Because of obviously the
once the parameter change is in place, it's not for the circle, it's not dependent on a specific fund. Fund 10 has to start, or fund 11 or fund 12. It can be done, their funding can be done at any point in time.
I think it's really difficult for me to say that, or say one way or another, until we're over the next hurdle. But then, assuming we're all good, then I think that this becomes less of a concern, because we can institute it somewhat. But again, it's a bit difficult for me to say concretely, because there's still a little bit of uncertainty with regards to the future catalyst. So
for now, probably the safe bet is the term of office would still fall within the funding rounds, I would think, until CCv5
not necessarily
change that.
Joey, because I feel like what we could do, even if we're not sure when the funding would be coming, I don't know if we need IOG to be responsible for paying each circle member directly, right? I feel like we need to set up our own treasury, multi-sig, that those funds go into when they are released from IOG. There's no dependency on individual members getting paid, right? So they go into the treasury, and whatever our spending cycles are, it's that way. We just need to make sure funds get into that treasury at some point before they're needed.
Right. I felt we had, for my very first meeting, is one of my comments, I thought we should have our own treasury. But
right,
it's a little bit difficult, because you're looking at some people looked at that as a salary, so to speak, even though it's just a reward. So they needed that fund to operate and to continue paying their bills. But maybe going forward, this group doesn't seem to be in that situation, which is a good thing. So maybe this is a good transition group.
I don't know if you just called the chat message, but again, and I mean, we're still a way out on this, but once 1694 is in place, you could imagine this just becomes a governance action proposal, right? Where ultimately it doesn't necessarily have to be mutually exclusively tied to the catalyst parameters or catalyst operating budget. It's to some extent, you could make a very good case for why it should be independent of a catalyst fund operating budget, for the reasons that we've just discussed.
Okay.
But to be really clear, and Joey, I'm not going back on what we discussed months ago. We just need to get over this SVE, and then once we're there, then I don't think it's as much of an issue.
Yeah, I understand.
So do you see it as, I'm sorry, Darlington, we might be asking the same question about the tenure. Were you going to?
Yeah, I still think the tenure should be independent of Gallus Circle funding rounds, and I like the January and as well as the overlapping tenure too, during the election every 3 months or something.
There was mention in some of the documents that I was reviewing from previous rounds about a midterm review. I wonder if the midterm review would be a really good time to elect those members who are going to move forward and those who choose not to. You know, where we're trying to create that overlap. I think it would have to happen with us. That a portion of us stay on to go start the next tenure, and a couple new people are elected for this next tenure. And then the midterm review will be of those people who stayed on, and they can either stay if they're elected or be elected out. But those new people will have been there for 3 months to get the benefit of working with the people who've been here a while. Does it?
So in your scenario, yourself, Darlington, and Patrick would stay on for 3 more months, and then you would have a election for 3 people?
Like during the midterm review, the community would evaluate our performance and our work product and all that, and vote for the either 2 or 3 people they want to stay to start the next tenure. And then there would be another vote after those 3 months are up and the CCv4 is done. I guess it would be happening right now, though.
Yeah, we need to have that vote today.
Right.
I mean, what we talked about, and maybe to give a bit more added context, we sort of talked about this kind of midpoint review or kind of confidence vote, almost as contingent. With the compensation, the reward being contingent on a confidence vote, didn't we, Joey? That was kind of the idea. Obviously, we're not in that position right this second, so right now it doesn't feel like it's necessary at the moment, or as much of a priority. But yeah, it's again, this is the sort of thing that you would imagine should be open for community discussion. You know.
Yeah, I agree. That was a little bit different scenario that we were thinking of a confidence vote. I don't even know if we'd want to call it that, because you don't want the community. I don't know. I wouldn't want to put the community in that position to say, "Hey, I hate Darlington, but I love Patrick." So, but I do think that it's good to have 3 people that would either voluntarily stay and 3 people elected for those spots. Anyway, so it looks like this whole term of office requires a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not an easy one for sure. And I do agree that a lot of it should be up to the community. The code of conduct, I think, is good. That's something we established. It's just how we agree to behave. As far as anything that involves tenure, the length of a term, all those specifics, I think that does need to go to the community, because it does affect the community as a whole, not just those who have been elected.
Yeah. Just don't be surprised if it's all over the map. Like Patrick said,
it's
country, it's one
Look
thing.
at the 1694 discussion. It's all over the map. So I would expect nothing different.
So once we make a decision, we'll make some people happy and some people unhappy, but that's life, right? Okay.
Nebby, what's up?
Oh, I think you already said it. Actually, I was just going to say, in terms of the number of votes, when Melanie said the vote of confidence, I don't think we should stress with the community with too many voting events. I think twice a year is sufficient. And then also, I was just going to say that how for this decision, we need a lot of community involvement. I don't think this is for us to decide. I mean, not just to decide, but like we need them to be involved in this decision. Yeah.
That makes sense. And actually thinking about the too many voting too, is I don't think it's a bad idea when you go vote, instead of voting on 6, you vote on 9, knowing that 3 will start 3 months later, right? To sort of cut down the voting events.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if we need to like shoe on the current circle and like make someone stay longer than the 6 months or anything like that. When we do the voting, we can have seats that are only 3 months to sort of get us into this transition period. And people know that you're going to serve for 3 months and then your tenure will be up. And others will serve for 6 months, and then we can kick off the overlap in that way, like new people.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, we could decide how many members are on Circle. I mean, if you want to have an election for 3 extra to make a transition, that sounds okay to me.
What do you guys think about doing, like, I don't know if you want to do a month worth of after town halls, 2 weeks worth of after town halls, where we pull up this document and outline what our thinking is and get feedback live from the community in those moments, record those moments, and also make those available on our Twitter and our YouTube page, and be out in the open with this documentation to get feedback so we can move forward with it.
I like 2 weeks. I mean, our tenure is about to be over, and we need to start planning the next election. So
Yeah, but 6 months, we've already defined your tenure, right?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's a January. I don't know. Is it not? But anyways,
I've seen from the after town halls, if you put too much out there, it's going to be forever. You're just going to keep going in circles. Maybe just do term of office and then let's
So
get that
each
settled, and
one,
then we'll
we take a section.
I
Like
would say-
section X01, we take to one town hall.
and
Right.
and we don't all need to be in the same after town hall, right? And I don't know if we need everybody. I don't know. Could we run these in parallels too? So we could do them in 2 weeks in 2 town halls.
Yeah, and I think we should have at least a couple of us there. I don't want to split us up too much because I don't know that I have the fortitude to deal with some of the very aggressive naysayers.
you will have some.
Yeah, no, I was thinking just 2, right? Just doing two different after town halls and having these topics, 1 week and then 2 more.
And I'd
Yeah,
really like to have a facilitator who can keep it moving, who will
Right.
be able to shut people's mics off if they're, running on too long or not staying on topic.
I think that's a great idea because you're going to have, I saw in the last town hall, because there's people in chat, and if you're trying to run the meeting, you're trying to look at chat, it's just too difficult for one person. So 2 and a facilitator would probably be the right mix.
Right. And then so just as far as just to say out loud, I still think there is value to us doing this exercise and coming up with some options instead of a blank page, and be
Right.
like, how should we do this? More like, this is what we're thinking. What do you think?
Right. Also, just bear in mind, you still have those funds from Reese. So if you need to reward a facilitator, someone who's that you trust that can facilitate, you can draw on those funds to do that. So we don't have to do the whole thing, the circle.
Okay.
I'd completely forgotten about those resources that are available. Entirely.
And I like Darlington's idea about splitting up and also putting guardrails on, and I guess not guardrails, but not letting. I don't know how to say this, but giving them the ideas that we've been tossing around and getting feedback on that.
It's good.
Yeah, just seeding the conversation, right? Obviously, if people have their own minds, they can add a third option to the list or a fourth or fifth or whatever. But I think seeding it will lead to a more productive start, anyways.
So is that a working meeting to plan all this?
I think so. I think I want to be on the same page with whoever I'm meeting with to make sure that, we both are coming from the same idea or same understanding of what we're presenting.
Yeah, I think so.
Chris, did you have anything planned for our next meeting, or can we use that meeting to do this working meeting to decide?
So they're actually, they're Stephen Johnson wants to come back and talk to you guys about Catalyst standards, Catalyst technical standards. I mean, we can do something ad hoc outside of the Tuesday meeting if you want on that tip. If you want to spend next week continuing on this sort of working group topic, or however you want to do it, really. Stephen's keen to present some ideas around standards very soon. Let me double check with him as to when he wants to do that. I'll try and do that now and see whether he gets back to me, but it is probably like 11, it's probably like midnight where he is now. The plan was to either do it if with your permission next week or the following week. The sooner the better, really. And so but it depends on whether you guys would, because it's going to be quite a technical discussion, whether you would feel like it's a better use of time to focus in on the topic that we're talking about now and then have something ad hoc. Up to you, really.
I'm interested in what he has to say. Personally, I would like to continue the work on this and get it in front of as many people as we can so that we can at least try to firm it up.
Anybody else?
I'd like to be invited to that presentation if possible.
Yeah, I mean,
whenever it is.
You would see it on town hall the next day if we do it on the Tuesday, but
Okay.
by all means, it's I don't see why we can't invite you along, Joey.
All right, thank you.
How about I do this? Let me see if I can set some. If you guys aren't against it, let me see if I can set something up ad hoc. That's not going to then interfere with next Tuesday's meeting, and then at the very least we'll record it, and then if anybody can't attend, then you've got it there to watch back. Just so long as obviously you don't go and spread it far and wide. Does that sound fair?
I'll keep myself available.
Cool.
What about
Maybe
you guys?
Darlington, Hosky, Patrick? Good?
Yes.
All good.
Yeah, pretty flexible.
Cool. I know Darlington's gonna, you're probably gonna foam at the mouth once we get into it. So yeah, it depends. As I said, it depends on if everybody wants to be in that meeting or if it's better use time just to focus on something. I'll get it started set up ad hoc.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yep.
We've gone over considerably, so thank you for everybody staying. Half an hour past. Does anybody need say anything or want to add anything? before we go?
I think we're all good.
I don't know if you said
Just- I'd just like to add that, there's 2 or 3 other sections. If everybody could just kind of review those till the next meeting, whatever, so that you can think about it.
Will do.
Okay.
I was gonna say the town hall. Did we decide which town hall? Or it's not the one tomorrow, right? Or is it?
No, not the tomorrow one. We need a meet to plan that.
Yeah, we're gonna meet next Tuesday to talk about the sections and how we're gonna partner up and how we're gonna get on the schedule for the following after town halls. And if anybody has an idea for a moderator or facilitator who doesn't take BS, please let me know. I want them on my team.
Okay.
Are we good? Everybody's good?
Yeah, all good here.
Thank you.
I just want to say, guys, that the evolution of how you guys are working together from the first few weeks to where we are today, there's a marked difference, right? It was the first few weeks, everybody's quite quiet, quite reserved, not so forthcoming, and you guys have all really taken the initiative, and you're just driving this forward. Really, really proud of you.
Way to go, CCv4.
Thank
Sending a heart.
you.
Okay, see you.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Congrats, Darlington, on the new job. See you later, Melanie.
Bye-bye.